Thanks for joining us today. Our episode today is all about a green thumb growing herbs. I've got my friend Nicole here. She has been going to school to learn how to make tinctures and different kind of herbs. So I thought it would be great to have her in today to help us talk about what we should be using around our house. What things could we throw in our garden this year? Um, she makes a lot of tinctures, and in case you don't know what that is, that's a concentrated liquid form of one or more herbs. She'll tell us a little bit more about what she does there, but everything that she talks about today, you can find it on her Etsy shop, which is Gardenside Herbs, and she also has a Facebook page you should follow called Gardenside Herbs. I would like to give a warm welcome to our guest, Nicole. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks
you.
for
having me.
I'm excited to have you on. She always gives me such great advice whenever I ask her for anything. One, I'm just going to point out this book right here she told me to get.
Oh, yeah, I love that book.
I'm going to put a link in the comments for anybody who wants to order it. It's amazing. It has everything you could ever want. It was a great suggestion by her, so I hope you guys pick it up too.
What is it called, Lindsay?
It's called Herbal Remedies Handbook.
Oh, cool.
I know it's not showing up right, but I will put a link in it. It's got more than 140 different plants and remedies for more than 50 conditions everyday conditions and things that you deal with at home. So it's pretty amazing. Well, can you kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got started in this, and how you've learned to be an amazing healer?
Oh, thanks. Well, I've been interested in wild plants ever since I can remember, basically. I'm from the high desert where there are just really interesting looking plants. And when I was a kid and when I was a lot younger, I used to go out into the fields and we would gather plants and we would eat the prickly pear cactuses that were out behind our yard. And I just remember eating wild plants. I didn't really have very much instruction, so I'm thankful that it didn't go badly. But I was just so fascinated by what they could do. And if God gave us this medicine, where did they come from? They had to have come from somewhere. But it was kind of embarrassing. And so I didn't really talk to anybody about it. So fast forward a few years, I was overseas and I was in Morocco, and a pediatrician, I took my daughter basically to the pediatrician for a high fever, and he gave me a little blue bottle with some homeopathic pellets. I had never seen these things before. And so I asked him what it was, and he told me it was belladonna. And I remembered belladonna I remembered reading about it in a book somewhere. I thought, that's a nightshade. I remembered that it wasn't necessarily good for you, but also this pediatrician is giving it to me for my daughter's fever. And I thought, that is just really cool that you can take a plant and use it in a very specific dosage to help a fever.
Right.
And
I didn't even know it helped that. I knew that it was in my son's teething tablets when he was a baby, which just probably helps with, good to know it helps with fevers and stuff. That's probably why it was in there, but that's interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but yeah, after that I just kind of deep dove into Pinterest and all of the things that I could get my hands on overseas. And then when I came back, I started looking more into actual courses to enroll in.
I think that's the part that overwhelms me with like homeopathic remedies is there's a lot of different options, but I'm not educated enough to pick those. So I go for the stuff that's easier, which is like your normal, like in that instance, Tylenol. It's so easy to grab. We know what it's for, but what about all the other stuff that's in Tylenol, right? I'd much rather reach for a healthier alternative, but it's overwhelming because I'm not educated enough to like know what to grab. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I'm really glad you're on here.
Yeah, and because you have to, it's really overwhelming to look at all the options, but they're definitely out there, which is really cool. Yeah.
I love it because she will bring me different things and be like, "Oh, I made this weekend." Like I brought some of them in here so I could share. You know, um, like a catnip. I'm like, "Cat, isn't that for cats?" And she's like, "Oh, no, no, no. It's got so many uses." And she goes and tells me all the uses for it. I'm like, I am so grateful that you came into my life because this is exactly what I needed.
Is she the one that gave you basil? Did you give her basil?
Yes. Yep.
Ah, okay. I know you too, Lindsay.
Okay, there you go. I'm the basil lady.
But yeah, she makes all kinds. I also have a huge elderberry here that me and my whole family take, and she sells those online. So the freshest, best form. I will not go to Amazon or Walmart or any store like that and buy anything like this because it's all got shelf stable preservatives in it and things that Nicole's not putting in hers. So it's all natural.
I've actually tried to make homemade elderberry syrup before.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
How did it go?
I did. Well, I used an Instapot, and I didn't know, like, when you saute it, you're supposed to take the lid off. So it was like half gone. It was like half. Well, this is like when I first got my Instapot, by the way. I know how to use it now, but so when I first tried, it was like half gone by the time I was done, But I had actually ordered like elderberries that were dried, I think, and I made it myself. It tasted good, what was left of it, but
it's concentrated.
Yeah.
And Nicole told me she also makes vanilla, like for baking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. She's kind of told me how to do it. I just haven't taken the steps to do it. But I would love to make my own vanilla. I'm always baking. And so I keep as much vanilla around as I can.
Make a big old vat of it and just keep
it yeah. The thing is, it's not like I make it one day and I can use it the next day. So I think that's where my problem is. I don't have the patience like you do.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Yeah. About 6 weeks of love.
So what kind of things do you grow in your garden at home?
Okay. So right now I have yarrow, which is one of my favorites. Mostly just because it's really good for just grabbing and shoving on a wound. Yarrow is really good for staunching blood.
Just straight from the garden?
Yep. Honestly, you can do it a couple of different ways. If you have dried yarrow, you just dry it in your dehydrator, and then you can kind of rub the powder into the wound and it'll stop the bleeding. Or you can take it fresh off the plant and either crunch it in your hands or chew it and make something called a poultice. And you can put that on the wound as well, and that will also stop the bleeding.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's strange to do it at first, but it works really well.
I'm going to have to write that one down. So are you going to sell that in your store?
Yeah, I've got yarrow tinctures, and then I've also, I'm playing with a yarrow tea, and so I really want to get that ready, because when we get sick, I do a lot of yarrow, elderflower, and mint, and it just kind of dries up the cold, which is really nice. So I use that for my family. I'm definitely playing with like a tea that I can get consistent.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sorry, I cut you off there. What else are you growing?
I like to grow rosemary. I really like plantain. I like mint, lemon balm, and then when the weather is really good, I like to have a big patch of calendula in the garden.
Okay. Plantain, like as in bananas?
No, it is actually, you've probably seen it in your yard. It's a weed. And it's a big oval leaf with 5 to 7 ribs on it. And that's how you can tell that it's plantain. It's got these really tall flowers, and they're really good for staunching blood and for bruises. You can tell there's a theme to what I grow.
Because you have kids around and you gotta take care of them. Yeah.
Lots of bruises.
Awesome. So you use all these things on your family, I'm sure.
Yeah, lemon balm I use specifically for myself because I have I struggle with a lot of anxiety, and I have forever, as long as I can remember. And
I
lemon
think a
balm is
lot of
really
us do.
good. Yeah,
So do you a lemon balm? Do you make it into a tea?
I do. I also have I have a tincture for when I'm on the go because it's a lot more concentrated. And actually, the catnip tincture is good for anxiety. But yeah, when I'm just at home, I definitely make it into a tea. So it's about 1 teaspoon of dried lemon balm to about a cup of boiling water.
Writing all of this down.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. We should have you do a blog post on all of this stuff so we can share it with people, because I feel like in the last, I don't know, maybe it's just me, because in the last 4 to 5 years, I've really kind of gone back to like the roots of our ancestors. I want to eat fresher. I want to not use pharmaceuticals. I want to grow my own food and have my own chickens. And I feel like a lot of America is kind of going that way right now. So I'm sure
I feel
we
like
might have to have you write this stuff down.
Yeah, I feel like to piggyback on what you're saying, there's a lot of distrust in what we've been told as far as remedies and our food and things like that right now. And I think all that did was created a whole bunch of more opportunity for learning new things and educating ourselves on things. I know I went through, right after my second was born, so that's 4 years ago. We really started taking out artificial fragrances out of our home. We really got into essential oils for a little bit there. I still use a lot of my oils, and just removing toxins. So this would be I just started doing more of the homeopathic medication. So stuff for anti-inflammatory, and all the names couldn't even tell you them, but they're in the little blue, the little blue vials with the little pellets, and I just followed the directions. But it would be,
they're perfect.
There's so many, there's a lot of resources now. So, I don't feel like it's as taboo, I guess, is where I'm going.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
I think that's true.
Yeah.
So I know that you've talked to me before, you've had some issues growing certain things. I think it was aloe was one, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I kill aloe pretty reliably.
And unfortunately, I had a thriving aloe plant, and I decided here, and I decided to split it so I could give some to Nicole, and then it all died.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I have one little stem left, and I'm hoping that it'll branch off and keep growing and getting better now that summer's here again, but it did not. My cat chewed on it a little bit, and then I put it outside, and it didn't like winter, so
you just have to give it a second chance at life.
Yes.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, every time I've grown mint, it always dies. So yours is aloe. Mine, mint, it always gets bugs. I can never grow mint. And I would use that regularly. I like my hot tea. I like mint. So
yeah. And that drives me crazy because everybody I talk to is just oh, grow mint. You can't go wrong. You can't kill it. I can.
I can. I have every time.
It never lives.
What else did you find? I think there was something else we were talking about one day where you're I just cannot get this to grow.
Oh man, I don't know. There's a few.
Oh really? Do most things grow easily for you? If somebody goes and gets some seeds and throws it in a pot in their kitchen window, will it grow relatively easy?
It depends on what it is. A lot of the seeds need to be fermented before they can grow, which is really hard. So I see a lot of videos talking about how you can just grab a lemon seed and put it in some dirt, and that has never worked for me. It doesn't. I think it's because of the fermentation, but honestly, I'm not sure why. When it comes to hardier, woodier herbs, they grow really well for me. So rosemary grows super well. It's frost hardy, and I need something very hardy. Yarrow and comfrey are super hardy. They grow really well in my my garden, and it's got more of a clay base. I'm guessing a lot of soil in Tennessee is pretty clayey.
Mm-hmm.
But these grow really well in clay, so that's been good. And then calendula actually did grow in a pot in my kitchen window, which was nice.
If I try to start anything from seed, I usually put it in a damp paper towel and in a
Okay.
Ziploc bag.
Okay.
And then once it sprouts, I try to move it over, but I can't say I've had really good luck with that either. So
I'm gonna try that. You know, that sounds good.
And see, I'm always the one that starts with like the baby plant, and I try it that way. So it's already a plant, a seedling,
Yes.
and I try and use that. But that's a good question though, Lindsay. If you had to like 5 must-have herbs for a beginner, what would your top 5 be?
The ones that I'm growing, I think yarrow, because it's just really good for colds, for fevers, for cuts. I would grow rosemary. Rosemary is actually really good for memory and like brain fog. So traditionally, it's used to kind of revitalize you. It's also actually surprisingly good for migraine headaches. So if you can take an infusion, which is just a fancy word for a really strong tea, and it's about 1 teaspoon of rosemary, fresh or dry, and 150 milliliters of water, which is a little more than half a cup. I would do it, I think, because rosemary has a lot of oils in it, a cold infusion, meaning that you can kind of leave it overnight and then drink it a few hours later, would be really good. Sorry about that. Plantain, mint, and calendula, I think, would be my top picks because there's just so many things you can do with them.
What's your favorite thing to do with mint?
I love tea, mint tea, because overseas we just drink nothing but mint tea. But it's also really good for indigestion, and it is really good for headaches.
I have a neighbor who's got an organic garden, and he brought over some mint to me last year, and I wasn't really sure what to do with it, so I just hung it in my shower. And when it would steam in there, it would smell so good, and it just felt like it opened everything up really good. So that's the only way I've ever used mint, but I would love to be able to grow some.
Lindsay, you can grow the mint, and I'll grow something else since I kill mint every time, and then we'll swap.
I'll try.
Okay.
That's perfect.
I'll try to keep my cat away from it because maybe I should grow catnip and he'll just go after that rather than everything else.
He'll just live in that bush over there.
Yeah. So are there any herbs? So I was looking at these metal tubs that you can get at like Lowe's. They look like little like wash a baby in, or toddler or whatever. And then you can fill it with dirt. And I was thinking like maybe I could grow like 2 or 3 herbs in one big pot like that in my backyard. Yeah. Do you know, is there a certain combination of herbs that work better together for growing together?
That is a good question. I do know that a lot of these plants require a lot of drainage. So I would probably put the rosemary together with the like the mint and the calendula, and just put some holes in the bottom of the tub and maybe some rocks, and just make sure that they have really good drainage. But I think most of these work together with each other pretty well.
They don't need like a huge growing space to themselves.
No, not at all. And you can actually just stuff some other herbs in the middle there. Plants need surprisingly little space to
grow. So I was looking at your store, and I saw you have a pretty good variety in there. Can you tell me what you're selling on your store right now?
I am selling. Yes, I can. Just a second. I am definitely selling elderberry syrup because everybody's getting sick right now, my family included. So we take the elderberry syrup to kind of boost our immune systems, which has been really good.
This winter has been awful for illness. I mean, there's so many. Kristen has suffered relentlessly, like flu and cold, and I mean, you name it, her family has had it this winter. So I should have hooked you guys up a little bit earlier so you could get your family on that.
Oh, it was awful. And it's crazy because we really do, like, I have echinacea tea at home. I have peppermint tea at home. I have all these like things that you can, oils that I put in their bathtub with like Epsom salt. And I'm like trying to detox everybody in our family. And we all, I mean, if it went around, our family caught it. It just, it was awful. I mean, we haven't done antibiotics ever. Like, our kids have never had to be on antibiotics. They've been on it 3 times this year. 3 times, which just breaks my heart. That's awful. That's so bad.
That's a bad cold season.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Oh, it was,
she's been playing with different prebiotics and probiotics to try and get, you know, their systems back in order ever since, but it's hard.
Yeah, I have like tinctures right now that I'm trying for the baby, you know, with the probiotics. But if you have recommendations on that, I'm here. I'm all ears.
Well, the timing of the echinacea is actually really important, because it's one of the only herbs that will actually so most herbs won't penetrate the cell wall to stop the virus from multiplying in your body, but echinacea will. So the elderberry syrup is really good up until you start to show symptoms. And then as soon as you show symptoms, for the next like 24 hours, take echinacea, unless you're allergic to it, of course. But echinacea is able to penetrate the cell wall and just stop the virus from actually multiplying there. So
that's really awesome.
That's some good information. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's really cool that way.
So what else do you have in your store?
I sell holy basil tincture, which I love holy basil tincture. Holy basil is really good for concentration. It's good for calming the mind. It has quite the taste, but it's worth it because it can definitely calm your nerves. It's something called an adaptogen, which is really strengthening for your nervous system. It makes you more resilient to stress, but it's a long-term herb. So like I tell a lot of people, herbs are a slow burn. It's not as fast as allopathic medicine for sure, and it won't work as immediately, but over time, it has a really large effect.
So holy basil versus like oil of oregano, because some of the things you're saying for holy basil, I've also heard for oil of oregano, and let me tell you, I tried oil of oregano. And it was not a slow burn. It was instantaneous.
It is not a slow burn.
No, it was so bad. Oh my gosh. I had to put it in orange juice, and it was still it was like burping up. Sorry, this is TMI. It was like burping up like pizza with orange juice. So it was so bad. Lindsay's laughing because I had her husband try it, and he was like, "Oh, this is so awful. It was the worst thing." We were crying laughing. It was so bad.
Yeah, it is so bad. It really is.
But I've heard wonderful things about it, and like we were desperate. I'm telling you, we were so desperate.
Yeah. Well, oil of oregano is a really good. So it's a punch in the face for sure, and it is more of like an antibiotic. It's really good for. It's just a really good antibiotic, and something you can do with oil of oregano that won't be so punchy is you can steam your face with it. So like what I've been doing with my kids with all of these ridiculous like respiratory things going around is I'll put oregano in the bathtub, and then for my husband and I'll put oregano in like a bowl of boiling water and then just do the whole towel over your head thing, and the steam will carry the antibiotics directly to your lungs so that you get a little bit more of the antibiotics in there where the infection is.
So maybe Lindsay,
I needed you when I had the 100-day cough.
Yes. That's exactly what I was doing. I was like, maybe we should try that for like your upper respiratory stuff.
Yeah. I had the 100-day cough. I don't know if you've heard of that. That was going around. I had that. I got it right after Thanksgiving, and the cough, I tried everything. That cough would not go away. I was on steroids and antibiotics and everything to try and kick it out. It still
Yeah.
didn't help. So what ended up helping me was taking the NAC pills, and then I did castor oil with a heating pack on my chest at night before I went to bed, and it finally kicked it out. But that cough lasted for months.
Yeah.
But I should have tried the oregano trick.
Yeah, but after we did, I know after we did it, you were like, heck no.
I saw the reaction. I'm not trying that stuff.
That's what happened. I took fire cider for the first time, and I had that reaction. Just garlic everywhere. I was like, too much.
Yeah, too much. I love garlic, but there is a thing as too much garlic.
It really is.
We did the fermented honey and garlic, and I started that like in October. I'm like, we're not going to get sick this cold season, or this winter season. You know, we already got sick in the fall. Yeah. We're definitely not going to get it in the winter. I was eating all this horrible. I mean, it's not horrible. Actually, it's covered in honey, but all this raw garlic. I'm like, my kids, just plug your nose and eat it. You know,
you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah. And they still got sick.
I mean, we did too. So.
Didn't you sell a salve on your website, on your page?
I do.
Like a first aid salve or something?
I do. Yeah. It's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, tell me more about that. What's in it? What can I use it for?
The salve is more of like a kind of a wound healing salve. It's not for puncture wounds, but it's for scrapes and stuff like that. It has peppermint in it. It has some tea tree oil, which is super antiseptic. It cleans wounds really well. It has beeswax, calendula infused coconut oil. So calendula also has like a mild antipathogenic property, which just kind of keeps everything a little bit cleaner while your body is healing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I have a bottle of that in my bathroom, and every time my kids get hurt, like my son decided to ride a scooter yesterday without shoes on. And he doesn't know how to use the brake. So he started going down a hill and used his foot as his brake. So the whole top of his foot is scraped off. Yeah. So I need to order one of your salves so that I can keep it on hand here and have it for all those.
I was going to say, that sounds like a perfect thing to have on hand for kids, for sure.
It is. I use it a lot.
Yeah. You want to get anything that you saw today. Nikki, she does have a store on Etsy again. It's called Garden Side Herbs. She also has a Facebook group with lots of great information in there. I highly suggest you follow her. Again, that one is Garden Side Herbs on Facebook also.
We'll have to share that on our Facebook group too.
Definitely. We will have links to everything on there, the books and to her store and all the things that we've talked about today. Do you have a quote to close us out, Kristen?
I have two. Okay, but let me just do the good one first. I guess they're both really good, or I wouldn't pick two. Okay. The food you eat can be either the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. That's a good one.
I feel like that's something that everybody is starting to learn. I mean, who really trusts the food on our shelves anymore?
Yeah, or questions any of it.
Not I.
Yeah.
And then the other one I thought was more like, it goes to like holistic health and more of like the medicinal herbs, was holistic wellness is the practice of treating the whole mind, body, and spirit as one. And I know that you and I, Lindsay, had talked about like doing a garden with the kids and getting outside. And I feel like putting your hands in dirt and growing something from nothing, I feel like all of that, plus the benefits that are medicinal or healing, you know what I mean?
Right.
That was a good one.
There's nothing better than that. Yeah, I agree. Well, I want to thank you, Nicole, for being here with us today. You've given us a lot of great information. I really think we didn't get enough time with you, and we are going to have you back on again.
Yay!
This is a fun one. But I want to thank everybody for being here with us today and listening in on our Healing Yourself from. But but I you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and then, as always, join our Facebook group, Homeschooling More Than Motherhood. Next week's topic is going to be homeschooling on a budget. So we're excited to see you there, and thanks for joining us today.
All right, bye.
Bye.